What if one of the most extreme places on Earth isn't famous at all? Hidden in eastern Indonesia, continents collide, oceans collapse into abyssal depths, and ancient traditions still dictate survival. Here are 15 astonishing realities that reveal why this forgotten edge of the map may be the wildest place on the planet. Part 15. The ocean's sudden 7,400-meter drop. The ocean doesn't just get deep here, it collapses into a hidden abyss. In eastern Indonesia's Banda Sea lies the Weber Deep, where the seafloor plunges more than 7,400 meters or 24,280 feet, making it one of the deepest points on Earth. Unlike famous ocean trenches near coastlines, this drop exists in the open sea, carved by violent tectonic forces pulling the crust apart. 3 major plates collide nearby, stretching and thinning the crust until it sinks. Sunlight never reaches the bottom, pressure is immense, and much of the Weber Deep remains unmapped. Scientists believe unique deep-sea life may exist here, adapted to darkness and crushing pressure. This forgotten underwater void proves eastern Indonesia isn't just extreme above water. Some of the planet's deepest mysteries lie hidden beneath its waves. From one of the deepest places on Earth, the story rises back to the surface, to a tiny island whose value once rivaled the depths below. Part 14. A tiny Indonesian island that once rivaled New York. One tiny island once outweighed an entire future city in value. Run Island, part of Indonesia's Banda Islands, was so rich in nutmeg that global empires fought over it in the 1600s. At the time, nutmeg was believed to cure plague and disease, making it worth more than gold in Europe. The Dutch controlled most nutmeg islands, but desperately wanted to complete their monopoly. In 1667, the Treaty of Breda essentially locked in a world-changing outcome. The Dutch ended up with Run Island, while the English held on to New Netherland, including Manhattan, soon renamed New York. Today, Run Island is quiet and remote, but centuries ago, this overlooked speck of land helped shape global trade, colonial power, and world history itself. But this scramble for power and riches wasn't random. It was driven by a region shaped by forces far older and far more violent, deep beneath the ground itself. Part 13. Where 3 tectonic plates collide. What happens when the Earth's crust literally crashes into itself? In eastern Indonesia, the Pacific Plate, Indo-Australian Plate, and Eurasian Plate collide in one of the most geologically violent zones on the planet. This triple plate junction constantly reshapes the land, triggering earthquakes, volcanic chains, and rapidly rising islands. Mountains lift, coastlines shift, and new land is born within human lifetimes. The chaos also explains why this region hosts so many active volcanoes and deep ocean trenches. Eastern Indonesia isn't unstable by accident. It sits on a tectonic battlefield where the planet is still actively under construction. And where tectonic plates collide, the land itself becomes a forge for fire. Here, volcanoes don't rest. Some erupt in relentless rhythm. Part 12. Living between 2 volcanoes that never rest. Imagine standing in a land where the ground itself refuses to sleep. In North Maluku, 2 volcanoes redefine what active really means. Mount Ibu erupts every 10 to 20 minutes, firing hot rocks, ash, and gas like a natural cannon with terrifying regularity. Just a short distance away, Dukono volcano has been erupting almost non-stop since 1933, nearly a century of constant ash plumes and small explosions. These aren't rare disasters, they're daily life. Villages live under ashfall, forests are permanently dusted gray, and flights reroute regularly. Ibu is explosive and rhythmic. Dukono is slow, with endless endurance. Together, they show how eastern occasional eruptions don't shape Indonesia. It's forged by relentless fire, where volcanoes don't warn, pause, or finish. They simply keep going. And these volcanoes don't exist in isolation. They rise from a vast chain of islands, scattered across the sea, shaped by the same forces of fire and fracture. Part 11. 1,000 kilometers forgotten islands. Eastern Indonesia isn't one place, it's hundreds. From Timor to Papua, hundreds of islands stretch across nearly 1,000 kilometers, scattered across deep seas, shifting tectonic fault lines, and volatile volcanic arcs. What makes this region extraordinary is its isolation. Each island can host its own language, customs, and wildlife often found nowhere else on Earth. Some islands are crowned with dense rainforests. Others are raw volcanic landscapes that are still forming today. Many remain barely studied, with communities accessible only by days of sea travel. This geographic separation slowed outside influence, preserving ancient traditions and unique ecosystems. That same isolation also kept the region out of global focus. Eastern Indonesia isn't a single destination. It's a scattered constellation of worlds, shaped by distance, fire, ocean currents, and time itself. And among these scattered islands, some of the oldest traditions still protect the land and sea, long before modern laws existed. Part 10. Ancient sasi laws shut down nature to save it. Suppose conservation existed long before scientists gave it a name. In many eastern Indonesian villages, sasi laws strictly control when resources can be harvested and when they must be left alone. Under sasi, fishing, cutting trees, or collecting shellfish is temporarily banned, sometimes for years. Breaking the rule isn't just illegal, it's socially and spiritually condemned. These pauses allow reefs, forests, and food sources to recover naturally. What makes this extreme is how effective it is. Villages using sasi often have healthier ecosystems than nearby modern managed areas. Eastern Indonesia proves something powerful. Sustainability doesn't always come from technology. Sometimes tradition protects nature better than laws ever could. And those traditions exist alongside some of the richest biodiversity on the planet. Coral reefs bursting with life in unbelievable density. Part 9. World's richest coral triangle reefs. At the far eastern edge of Indonesia lies an underwater treasure few ever see. The Bird's Head Peninsula of West Papua sits at the heart of the Coral Triangle, which hosts the most biodiverse coral reefs on Earth. This region contains more coral and fish species than the entire Caribbean combined. New species are still being discovered regularly. Sharks, manta rays, and vibrant reef systems thrive in waters protected by remoteness rather than regulation. What makes it extreme isn't just diversity, it's density. Life here stacks on life, reef upon reef, in explosive abundance. Eastern Indonesia isn't just biologically rich, it's the global epicenter of marine life. Beneath the waves, the ocean's treasures aren't just beautiful, they're worth fortunes, and even ordinary-looking creatures can spark dangerous hunts. Part 8. Sea cucumbers worth more than gold. Imagine risking your life for something that looks like a squishy sea slug. In eastern Indonesia, sea cucumbers can fetch gold-level prices on international markets, especially when dried into trepang. Highly prized in East Asian traditional medicine and cuisine, some species sell for thousands of dollars per kilogram when dried. This has triggered dangerous overharvesting, illegal diving, and violent conflicts between fishing groups. Divers often descend without proper gear, risking paralysis or death. Entire reefs are stripped bare because sea cucumbers are slow-moving and easy to wipe out. What seems harmless hides brutal economics. In eastern Indonesia, even the strangest creatures can fuel black markets, exploitation, and ecological collapse. And above the water, the danger continues. Massive saltwater crocodiles dominate the rivers and mangroves. Part 7. Where 6-meter saltwater crocodiles still rule the rivers. Mangrove rivers here are not safe. They're claimed territory. These apex predators dominate estuaries, rivers, and coastal swamps. Locals know which waters to avoid, when to fish, and when to stay away entirely. Attacks still happen, sometimes with fatal results. What makes this extreme is coexistence. People farm, fish, and travel alongside animals that have changed little since the age of dinosaurs. In eastern Indonesia, nature doesn't retreat for humans. Humans learn to survive around it. And the danger here doesn't just lurk in the water's surface. It begins far deeper, where the earth itself is breaking apart. Part 6. Where Indonesia's crust is being pulled apart. Is the earth literally ripping itself open beneath Indonesia? In the Banda Sea, eastern Indonesia's crust is stretching, thinning, and tearing apart in a rare process called back arc spreading. Unlike places where continents crash together, here the planet is pulling itself in opposite directions. As tectonic plates shift, the crust sinks and fractures, creating some of the deepest seas on Earth and fueling intense volcanic activity. This slow-motion rupture has formed massive underwater basins, extreme ocean depths, and a chain of unstable islands rising and falling over time. Earthquakes ripple through the region, volcanoes feed on the stress below, and new crust is constantly being born. The Banda Sea isn't just dangerous, it's unfinished. While most of the world's land feels stable, eastern Indonesia is still being torn, stretched, and rebuilt, making it one of the most extreme geological zones on the planet. But while the land fractures and oceans deepen, some communities respond not with fear of nature, but with rituals meant to defy time itself. Part 5. The tribe that preserved its dead. Far from pyramids, tombs, or embalming chambers, eastern Indonesia preserved its ancestors in a very different way. In the highlands of Papua, certain tribes practice mummy making through smoke drying, preserving the bodies of powerful leaders to honor their influence long after death. These mummies weren't hidden away. They were displayed, consulted, and treated as living guardians of the community. Smoke, herbs, and ritual chants preserved skin, hair, and even facial features for centuries. The process wasn't about death, but continuity, keeping leaders present long after life ended. Some mummies still sit in villages today, astonishing anthropologists with their condition and cultural meaning. This forgotten tradition proves that Indonesia's east holds civilizations with histories as deep and complex as anywhere on Earth, just far less known. But eastern Indonesia doesn't just preserve its past through ritual and belief. In some places, time itself was sealed away by nature, hidden deep inland beneath still waters. Part 4. A million-year-old lake cut off from the world. What if a single lake stayed isolated longer than humans have walked the earth? Deep in eastern Indonesia's South Sulawesi, Lake Matano reigns as one of the planet's oldest and deepest, formed over 1 million years ago, then sealed off from the world. This freshwater abyss drops more than 590 meters, making it the deepest lake in Indonesia. The isolation triggered rare evolution. Ancient shrimps, snails, and fish, lineages from prehistoric eras, thrive here alone. Scientists call it a living time capsule, revealing how life conquers extremes in silence. And while some ancient worlds survived in silence beneath freshwater depths, others reveal themselves suddenly at sea, where living giants emerge without warning. Part 3. Whale sharks and seagrass feeding frenzy. Without warning, the sea starts moving, slowly, massively, peacefully. In eastern Indonesia, whale sharks gather near shallow coastal waters for rare seagrass feeding frenzies. Unlike their usual plankton feeding habits in open oceans, these gentle giants glide through nutrient-rich zones where seagrass supports dense marine life. Fish swarm, water clouds, and the world's largest fish moves calmly through it all. Some grow over 12 meters or 40 feet long, yet show zero aggression. What makes this extreme is how little science still understands these gatherings. They appear suddenly, vanish quietly, and leave behind stunned witnesses. Eastern Indonesia isn't just biodiverse. It hosts behaviors so rare they still puzzle marine biologists today. Even the smallest creatures here are extreme. Tiny parrots that fight far larger rivals, proving survival comes in every size. Part 2. The palm-sized parrot that refuses to back down. Tiny doesn't mean weak, not in Eastern Indonesia. The pygmy parrot, one of the smallest parrots on Earth, fiercely defends its territory despite being barely palm-sized. When threatened, it doesn't flee, it attacks. These parrots chase off much larger birds, scream warnings, and bite intruders with shocking confidence. Their survival depends on aggression, speed, and tight-knit social behavior. Living in dense forests with constant predators, hesitation can be fatal. Fearlessness means survival. This extreme attitude packed into a tiny body perfectly sums up Eastern Indonesia's wildlife. Even small species evolve oversized defenses in some of the most competitive ecosystems on the planet. And survival in Eastern Indonesia isn't just about strength. It's about beauty, spectacle, and evolution itself, as these rare birds of paradise demonstrate. Part 1. The bird that turns evolution into performance. Beauty in Eastern Indonesia doesn't hide, it performs. The standard wing bird of paradise, found only in the Maluku Islands, puts on one of the rarest displays in nature. The males flash brilliant green wing plumes during elaborate mating dances. These birds clear forest stages, leap between branches, and pose mid-air to catch the light just right. The green plumes only appear during displays, vanishing when folded, making sightings incredibly rare. Females judge every movement. One mistake, and the performance fails. This extreme display evolved in isolation, deep in Indonesia's forgotten East. Here, survival isn't just about strength. It's about spectacle, precision, and turning evolution into art. So, have you ever realized how unfinished our planet still is? From bottomless seas to living volcanoes, Eastern Indonesia proves that Earth is still being shaped in real time. These islands aren't forgotten because they're unimportant. They're forgotten because they're extreme. And at the edge of the world, the planet still has stories waiting to be discovered.